This week, the U.S. is buying $3 billion of agricultural products from farmers who are struggling with a pretty big surplus right now and distributing that food to hungry Americans across the country. It seems like a no-brainer, right? But will this temporary lifeline be enough to keep the ag industry from sinking?
Do you guys see on the screen the lines of cars and then the trucks with the food bank on the side? This was a dream that I had recently. I don't know if you guys remember it, but in the dream, excuse me, I saw Trump and he put on his suit and tie. He was getting ready and I got in this truck with him. And I believe that I represent America and God was showing me what was coming, what was going to happen. And, but in the dream, he had on a black suit. He had a black suit and he was driving a black truck. Now that's not good. Black is not good, you guys. And so we're driving and we pull up to this food bank and he gets out and he walks through this huge crowd of people waiting outside the food bank. And it was like he was putting on a show for these people. And he puts these, I think if I remember correctly, he puts these gloves on. And he stands behind the tables where they're sorting out all this cans of food and stuff. And he puts on these gloves and he starts tossing cans of food out into the crowd. And they're going like nuts. They're like, yay, President Trump. And he had this big smile on his face, like, see, look at me. And he only tossed like 3 or 4 cans out and then he was done. And then he took his gloves off and he looked all proud of himself and all that. And when I saw this, and it's funny how I was thinking of this dream yesterday or earlier this morning, the Lord brought this dream back to me. And then just a few minutes ago, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this. So it's kind of weird how the Holy Spirit led me through that. But this is kind of like to this news article. But this is kind of like what's happening now and with the stimulus checks but this really specifically. So let's continue.
Further, they are really struggling. Here to weigh in on that is the president of the National Farmers Union, Rob LaRue. Sir, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it. Want to go straight to the president's tweet on this. Starting early next week at my order, the USA will be purchasing from our farmers, ranchers, and specialty crop growers $3 billion worth of dairy, meat, and produce for food lines and kitchens. Farmers to family food box. Great news for all.
Great news.
What do you think of this plan?
Oh, it's absolutely positive news. It's really good that the president is focused on this and that the money that Congress had authorized here is going to be used as quickly as possible. So the White House's attention is a really positive step because what we've seen is a real conundrum, right, of farmers with their products in no markets and prices really low and a lot more folks in need of that food. And this will be one of those key pieces to connect all the surplus product to those in need. So it's good for food banks, it's good for folks who are now in need of extra food, and certainly will ultimately be good for farmers, although there will be much more help needed.
Right, absolutely. We've been talking about how do you connect these problems. You got people that need food, you got food being thrown away. It was just terrible to watch that be a problem in this country. So we're glad to see it be addressed. Here's some of the details of this purchase. $461 million in fresh fruits and vegetables, $317 million in dairy, $258 in meat, and a combination of a number of these in a combination box, they call it, $175 million. But as you said, this does not even come close to the problem that we're seeing right now, right?
That's right. But the Department of Agriculture and the White House, using the rest of a package that Congress has implemented, is really still going to be churning out additional help. We anticipate the needs are going to continue to grow, though, because farmers are still facing what has been a really rough few years. Yeah. And so this pandemic has just been another wound that's going to make a real challenge there. I think the real focus for the food system in general and food security for the country is to make sure that these farmers stay on the land. So we're also excited that the president is also very much attuned to the potential for price fixing in this system at a time when Americans really don't need higher prices for foods and farmers even lower prices. So he is directing Department of Justice to take a close look at this, particularly in the beef market. And we see this as another positive sign of a big problem.
Yeah, and they're also going to be doing a part of the plan to recover here is $16 billion going to farmers as well, on top of this $3 billion.
And this makes me think, as I'm seeing this is probably why Pelosi is trying to add this into the stimulus package, that illegal immigrants are entitled to the money. They still get a check because here in the Central Valley, I'd say about 70% of these workers that pick these crops are illegal immigrants. And, you know, they come up into the fields and stuff around here. This is fertile farm soil here, and we grow all kinds of stuff in the Central Valley. And they come up here and they get hired and paid under the table. So, you know, if there's no farming produce coming through, you know, on these dairies and meat ranches and vegetables out in the field and stuff, if they're throwing all this stuff away and they're not able to make money and stuff, they're not going to be able to pay the workers. So that's probably why Pelosi wanted to add that they get the stimulus check too, to help